Paranormal Dimensions is a regular feature on Mondays on the Paranormal UK radio network.
This is Malcolm Robinson and you're listening to the Paranormal UK radio network, the UK's biggest paranormal network, and this is Paranormal Dimensions with David Young.
Hello and welcome to another show. And thank you for that introduction, Malcolm. Well, we're creeping towards Christmas and the end of the year. Okay, today's guest, I'm going to make no apologies. He's another good friend of mine. His name is Alex Lovelock. He's called the Maverick Medium, and I think you'll find out why. He's a no-nonsense guy. Well, that rhymes. But anyway, before I introduce Alex, thank you once again for messages and emails, etc. And happy Christmas wishes and everything else. If you'd like to get in touch with me at any time, my email address is davidyoung2qn@yahoo.co.uk. That's davidyoung, 2qn, all one word, @yahoo.co.uk. Okay, now I'm going to introduce Alex Lovelock. I don't know how this show's going to go, but so here we go. Welcome to the show, Alex.
Thank you, David. Nice to be here. Thanks for asking.
I'm very pleased to have you on the show, and I'm sorry I didn't get to see you this week. As you know, I'm up to my eyeballs in boxes at home here because I'm moving. So I know we were going to go for a walk in the Rendlesham Woods, weren't we? But did you go in the end?
The woods are, they've started cutting trees down again.
Oh, have they?
So where the trail is, they've unless you know where you're going, you might as well not bother going.
Yeah. Oh, right.
You could quite easily get lost in there, as you know.
Yeah, well, you can get lost in there the best of times. I mean, for anyone that doesn't know, Alex and I both live within about 20 minutes of Rendlesham Woods. And the Rendlesham Forest, obviously, was the big 1980 UFO incident, which I'll be doing a couple of shows on at the end of the year, so if you stay with me. But you go up there quite a lot, don't you, Alex? And you take some amazing pictures and photos and things.
Yeah, all the pictures, well, you've seen them. But over the last, I think, we went there back in May, I think we did. There weren't much going on. And there probably hasn't been much going on for over a year.
It was during the lockdown period, wasn't it? We said, oh, sod all that, we're going up there anyway.
But I think the old aliens and the spirits have shot off somewhere. They don't seem to be making much of an appearance now compared to what they were doing. When I think back to a couple of years ago, we was always getting something.
Do you think it's because of all the chopping down and everything they're doing, or?
Could be. I mean, at the moment, when you walk in what used to be Tracts Hen, you now have to veer off to the left. I did veer off to the right, but I thought someone's going to stop me. And they've got barriers up as well. It's not just this barriers, I don't know what they're doing down there. Making a mess of it, though.
Yeah.
Sure.
Well, I mean, as you know, the storm made a big mess of it back in, was it about 86, was it? Something like that. That knocked a lot of, was it 86, 87, something like that. But I know it destroyed a lot of the woods, didn't it? It wasn't quite the same as it was back in 1980 when they had the big, the UFO incident in 1980. But of course, they're doing a lot of hacking down the wood. I wonder what they're actually up to. Do you think they're actually trying to actually destroy those woods, or what?
Build a housing estate, maybe?
Yeah, well, it makes you wonder, doesn't it? You know, I know there's a film company on the base now, isn't there?
That's right.
They do a lot of stuff, and there's a lot of companies over there, so maybe that's the whole idea, to try and basically, destroy those woods and perhaps encroach onto that. It's a shame, really, because I know I've seen a lot of your photographs, and they're amazing.
Yeah, it's a real shame. Peter can't show them on here, really. But
but I can, though. With some, I mean, if anyone goes to my Paranormal Dimensions page, I'll put some up, Alex. Once they've heard this show, if you want to come to the page, I'll show some of the pictures, photos. I keep calling them pictures. They're photos. They're not pictures.
No, photos. But the thing is, I don't actually see. I mean, we'll talk about that later. So I do see the shadow people. So do others, but. The actual photographs, like of the monks and who else have I had in there? Pictures look like an angel. These are all in the daylight, but the camera seems to pick it up, not me. And it's till you go home, or some of these maybe 5 years ago. I've only just found them. Yeah.
That's right. It's when you look back on them, isn't it? You see shapes and mists and things.
These are actual people.
Yeah. I mean, also being psychic, though, because you're psychic, I mean, do you actually pick things up yourself anyway, or are these things that just appear on your camera?
Well, this psychic and this medium, and I'm mediumistic.
Yeah.
All right. But,
yeah, all right. Well, we'll talk about what the difference is a bit later on as we go. Yeah.
Well, I'm probably a bit of both, really, or just plain mad. What have I because I was going to talk about this later, but it doesn't matter when we talk about it.
Now, as I said to you, we go off all over the place on this show.
I didn't come to Suffolk until 2012, so I missed out on the UFO landings and all the rest of it. But
actually, I didn't realise that, because we only came to Suffolk in 2013, so you was only a little bit ahead of us when we came.
Just a little bit, yeah. God knows, I don't know how I ended up here, but meant to be. And my first, me and friend Steph, I think you know her, we joined the archery club in Rendlesham Forest, and that is it's the other side of the more like the Bromswell side of the forest. And we was in there. We used to get very, very eerie feelings in there, and I've heard some stories that went on, people have witnessed in there. But one of them was one afternoon there was a banging. They got these big containers, like the containers from the lorries, and one of these, it was banging on it. And as I turned round, and this is where the mediumship first comes in, because I do see the spirit people, and there was a man standing there, and he weren't old, he weren't in old-fashioned clothes, he looked like a pilot. And anyway, I saw this guy, didn't really think much of it, and the first night I went down there, I think at night, was around about September, and I think there were about 10 of us there, Derek and a few of the others. And as we were walking along track 12, you know which one that is, don't you, track 12?
I do, yeah.
Changed all the numbers now. Walking along track 12, and a voice said to me, "Would you please leave the ancients and aliens alone?" This was outside my ears. I've got the image in my mind of this chap who I'd seen at the archery club. But that's what they told me. Well, I was gone. I was out of that forest. And I didn't go back for, must be 2 months. And then one afternoon I just got this urge to go on my own. And that's what I've been doing. I've had no more. I've had a few more experiences, but not being told to leave them alone. Yeah,
I've heard a few people have had a couple of scares in the woods there. But, I'll tell you what. Let's go. Let's jump back a bit. Now, you call yourself the Maverick. Is it the Maverick Medium? Is that right?
That's right.
Now, why are you called the Maverick Medium?
Well, went to this spiritualist church before I started doing any of this. And this medium, I mean, there's good and there's bad, obviously, but this guy, he said to me, you, he said, will become a maverick and you'll talk about philosophy. Well, I thought, well, I don't know what you mean. The only maverick I've ever seen was on the TV. He played cards.
Yeah, Brett Maverick, yeah.
Brett Maverick, that's him. And as philosophy, I thought, well, I didn't do very well at school. Not that clever. So I think you're wrong. Anyway, as time went on, and I began doing this work, which again, I didn't go and look for. You know, I was a guitar player. That's what I did. I didn't go looking to do this work, and I was going to these spiritualist churches, and it's the same old, you know. Well, I met this lady called Catherine, who took me under a wing and showed me and brought me on into this mediumship thing. And all it is, when you sit in these circles and you do all this meditation, which I can't do, and the other thing is chakras, which are energy things in your body. But really, to me, it's got nothing to do with mediumship. It's just a way of, I think, making money out of people, keep them sitting there for an hour. And anyway, I was on the, she took me up onto the rostrum, what they call the rostrum or the platform, after 6 months. Now that's not bad going. And while I was sitting there, she was doing her thing, and I thought, in a minute she's going to ask me, have you got anything? And all you're sitting there thinking, oh, this chakra and that chakra, this, and I thought, you know what? The meditation's gone, and the chakras are going out the window as well. And I've never looked back. And of course, the spiritualist people don't like it. And that's how I came to become a maverick. I just don't follow the rules. I do my own thing. You know, seem to be doing okay, and I think people quite like it because there's no nonsense with me. What you see is what you get.
Yeah, I know that.
Yeah, there's no airy-fairy, you know, all this namaste or whatever it is they say, all these. I don't do all that. I'm very down to earth, and I feel that's the way you should be.
Yeah, I guess that's the thing that kind of works for you, I suppose. Because I mean, there's probably a few people shouting at the radio, the radio now, probably saying about all the chakras. It's very important, and I guess it probably is to many people out there. You know,
it's like everything. My analogy is like with music. You know, some people can pick up an instrument, and you can learn the rudiments. But like with music, you know...
or if you're like me and you can't play a note...
you get the basics, and then you've got to go off on your own. Otherwise you're going to be like everybody else.
Yeah.
And also, I feel the mediumship, because I was a blues player. I could play other stuff, but the blues is what I loved.
Yeah, I was going to say, you're quite an accomplished guitar player, aren't you? And you've been in a few groups and things.
I've been, a few? Yeah, and it's all to do with feel. It's an improvisation. And I feel the mediumship, if you're bound by these ridiculous rules that are made by whoever from years ago, you're not going to progress. But if you break away and become a bit of a maverick, they don't like it, but you progress like anything. And my grandmother... she was I've got a picture of her here when she was 17 in 1911, and she once said, the only problem with spiritualism are the spiritualists. And to me, I do believe that. They've got these hard and fast rules. Let's say it's like playing music. If you're playing a concert, a pianist or whatever, and you're playing set pieces, you've got to do what it says. But I see mediumship as improvisation. If that makes any sense, I don't know.
Yeah, it's a bit like, well, I don't know, I'm going to put the jazz analogy into it now, because jazz is a bit like that, isn't it?
Exactly.
As well as blues, you do actually sort of go off on your own tangent. A bit like this show does, really.
Exactly, yeah. A bit like I do. I did a talk and I was all over the place. That's why I've got a piece of paper tonight. But, yeah, I mean, jazz and blues is similar type of music. I remember being in America and I was invited to a club. And, what an honour. I was playing with some top black American blues people. I used to go on tours with these guys, as well. And a bit like the Mediums, I remember a musician said to me, "Oh, you're not playing all the right blues notes." Where this American guy who's been playing forever, a real blues man, he said, "Alex, man, you can play with me anytime." And to me, that's the compliment.
Yeah. And
that's how I feel about the mediumship. You go off on your own.
Yeah.
But there'd be a lot of people saying it's a lot of rubbish, but so what?
Yeah, well, I mean, the thing is, as long as the people on the other side, or we will call them people, because that's what they are, as long as they don't, I mean, if they thought you were rubbish, they wouldn't talk to you, would they? No, that's the way I see it.
Yeah, I don't want to sort of I don't want to sort of sound like, big head, but I mean, I've got such a connection.
Yeah, no, I don't. I know you, Alex, and I know you're not a big head. I know you're just sort of, what you see is what you get type of couple. You sort of, if you don't like me, leave me, don't you? Except you're that type of person, a bit like me, really.
But and I think through the mediumship and the connection I have with those, because I think the interdimensionals people and the spirit world, I think it's on a similar vibration, and that's why I think that guy was speaking to me in the forest. But I don't know. I don't. And the other thing is, when you ask people, the so-called experts, they can't give me an answer. So, got to go with your own, the way you feel, really, David.
Yeah, yeah. Wait, what's your? We're just talking because we're sort of almost at the anniversary, the 40th anniversary of the Rendlesham Forest incident now. What's your gut feeling about what happened? If you've got one, I mean, or if you've just got an opinion about it.
I don't really know. The only thing is that I don't think there's any photographic evidence, is there?
No.
That's a little bit concerning.
There should have been, because apparently Jim Penniston took some photos, but they all come out all misty, which kind of says something to you, doesn't it, and me, because we've done the same thing. Well, I've taken pictures that come out and they don't, you get funny misty shapes on them and serve you.
That's right, exactly. And sometimes you get an image. But I don't see why. I don't see why people would make this stuff up. To be honest, especially not when like the U.S. Air Force. Can you?
Well, also, I mean, that's what I'm saying. It was an extreme nuclear base, wasn't it, or atomic base, and and these people that were there weren't sort of just rubbish airmen. They were actually top graded airmen, or most of them were. I could name one that wasn't, but we won't go down that road.
Well, I don't know.
But like Colonel Holt and Jim Penniston, I mean, they were both, they had very top secret clearance, and probably a few of the other ones that were involved in that. And like you say, they weren't the type of people that would make something like that up. I mean, in fact, they did actually try to squash it, didn't they? The whole story. Yeah. Colonel Holt did. He didn't want it all to come out. It all came out a couple of years later by accident, anyway, after the memo, which was never meant to be made public. And neither was his tape. But,
well, I can't. I wouldn't thought it was a fake. I couldn't see the point of it, really.
No.
What would be the point? I mean, let's be fair. Like you, I come from London, South London. Rendlesham, where's that?
Yeah.
What's Rendlesham?
Yeah.
Well,
you're probably a bit like me. I mean, I've sort of followed that Rendlesham case for years. And little did I know I'd actually become friends with Colonel Holt and Jim Penniston, and actually get to know these people, and it's really weird to me that you're sort of following someone and suddenly you're, I won't say in the middle of it, but actually become, these people become your friends, sort of thing. It's even now I can't get my head round it. Why that happened? But there you go. I suppose it must have happened for a reason.
I do believe it all happens for a reason.
Yeah.
It's like when we met, you come to one of my gigs, didn't you?
Yeah, that's right.
I've never seen you or Jill before, but you turned up and 2 or 3 years ago, and so it's gone on.
Yeah, and we did actually intend to come to more, but we just never got around to it. I think I've got to put a lot of it down to laziness, Alex, to be honest.
You have this much. But no, getting back to the Rendlesham, no, as I say, it's strange because I think it was 1985. I used to drive the Arctics, and I had to come up to Melton, which is just outside Woodbridge, but not far from Rendlesham Forest, from a haulage company. And I thought, of course, this is a nice old place, I didn't think about the UFOs, which was only 5 years before. And then, here we are, living here. Yeah. It's all rather, it's all meant to be.
Well, that's what I found. I mean, when we moved here, it didn't even cross my mind about Rendlesham at the time. And we were out driving, and I thought, Rendlesham, we're not that far from Rendlesham. Blimey, I thought, it sort of struck me like that. I thought, we're only sort of like 20 minutes away. And then, sort of things developed from that. I went to a conference and met Colonel Holt, and, things sort of developed from that. It's really weird. But,
I even asked someone once if you were allowed in Rendlesham. I thought it was private, but that's how much I knew. But, no, I believe it. I believe. And I also think I don't think these spacecraft come from Mars, well, they might do. But it's all dimensions, isn't it? Yeah.
Now, this is, I've said it so many times on this show, but that's why I called this show Paranormal Dimensions, because I believe a lot of this stuff is interdimensional rather than extraterrestrial, although I do believe that people from other planets are visiting us as well. And
I do.
And I'm getting that information from other people that I speak to as well. But I think that RFI, the Rendlesham Forest incident was probably something interdimensional. I mean, that's only a guess or conjecture, in my opinion. It doesn't mean much, But it's just what I feel about it. Obviously, when we talk about spiritual beings, they are in a different dimension, aren't they? So there's no reason why we couldn't have an alien beings also in a different dimension.
That's what I think. When you see me work, and when I'm working, I actually see the communicator. Not everyone can do this or does it. So where do they come from? They don't come walking through the front door, do they? They've got to come from a dimension. Yeah. That's how I look at it.
Yeah, because you actually visualised, don't you? I think you actually visualised my dad, didn't you?
Yes. I actually see them. I actually see them standing next to the person I'm going to. It wasn't always like this, but I see the person I'm communicating with.
Yeah, I remember you mentioned my dad and our dogs and everything, and I thought, well, how do you know that? He doesn't know me at all.
I don't remember. I don't remember much about what goes on.
It was about, like you say, it was about 3 years ago, wasn't it? So,
even if it was last night, I'd probably...
Yeah.
Not really, I suppose we're not really supposed to remember, because you're talking about people's personal business, if you like.
Yeah.
And, but no, I'm very fortunate. It's not always been like that, but I do, happen to see the person, what they're dressed in, how they were. It's all changed. It's really strange how it's all changed, but I find it interesting. I'm sitting here on my own, and I'll see someone, and I might be a bit jumpy. Bit of a wuss I am, I have to say. But
so do you actually find it scary then sometimes? Does it? Do you have a job actually turning off, sort of thing? If that's the right word, switching your mind off, or so you don't actually see them.
No, I don't. I don't do any of that stuff that they tell you should do. I mean, this started with me when I was 4 years old. And I don't know if you want to go through all that stuff.
Yeah, go on. Yeah, please do. I'd like to.
Well, it started when I was about 4 years old. I can only describe it as a vision. And bear in mind, I lived in South London, Penge, Crystal Palace area. So there was nothing like this there. But I was on a field, a river separating the field opposite, and a bridge. And it was a beautiful day. And I know I weren't allowed to go on the bridge. And that was as far as I can remember. And you grew up in London, this is only maybe 10 years or more after the Second World War. Mm. And it was, there was nothing like that there, I can assure you. Just burnt out, bombed out.
Yeah, I remember all the bomb sites and things.
Yeah.
Because there was a lot of westerns on the television at the time. We used to use them as like the American sort of outback.
So obviously, and there was no television as such.
No.
So I don't know where this come from. But things used to happen all the way through. Raps, taps, noises. Well, my mum, she passed when I was 14. And my dad, he was a drummer, by the way. If he was out and about or he spent time in hospital, I had to stay at home on my own in this house. And I can assure you it was the most terrifying time ever. Mm. And these spirits would say, they won't hurt you. But no, they don't, and they bloody frighten you. And there was all sorts of things going on. Banging, raps, taps, noises, everything. It was just so much. And I remember being in the back room downstairs. I was terrified. I couldn't move. And I could feel these, what we now know as a presence. But one of the strangest things was I come home from work one lunchtime, about 17, and the dinner table was laid. Cups, saucers, plates. What? Didn't use the table. I think my mother had come in. Thought, right, we'll have you sitting at the table, sonny boy. And that was quite freaky. And so it went on, and then me and a couple of lads, we had what you call a makeshift seance, I suppose. Kind of set up a board, was about 16, and one of our school teachers came through, who was the art religious instruction teacher. And I thought, well, this is a bit strange, Well, didn't it freak me out? But it went on and on and on, and then I had my first car, and my mum spoke to me, and my girlfriend, then my wife, she heard it, and next day my neighbour got in the car, and he looked round, and my mum was sitting in the back. Oh, God, I thought, I can't cope with this. I was just a kid. And so it went on, and all the time, obviously, I was playing the guitar and getting myself up to sort of standard. And that was it. I just trying to put it out of my mind, and then got involved with the music. And I thought this will take my mind off it. And Dave Bowie used to hold court in one of the local parks, so got to know him.
Oh, right.
In fact, on his Major Tom gig, he held a thing for, he used to run the Arts Centre in Beckenham. And in those days, you had the same people going around the circuits, I don't know, Straubs and all these type of people. You used to see them all the concerts. And we were asked to play. I was probably about 17 then. And didn't really have any equipment. So it was, so I borrowed one of his amps. And I think it was me anyway. I got the blame for it. And we blew it up. Never heard the end of it, you know that. And but we went up before, getting cold, I think he might be here. And there's more empty for it. And we opened up for him he was the last one, obviously, because he was the superstar.
Yeah.
Or was going to be a superstar. And we opened up for him. So that was a good gig. And then listening to what David used to say, I mean, he must have been involved or very much into the UFO stuff when you look at his songs.
I'm pretty sure he was, yeah.
Yeah, you know, I can't remember what he used to speak about now, we're going back. But, yeah, he was, I'm sure, very much into it. So it was a good time. But all the time there was things going on, you know, niggling at me from the other side. Mm. And I didn't know anything about this sort of mediumship. And it went on, and I went off and joined a band called the Sunflower Blues Band. They were all sort of guys who played with some of the bigger bands. And went off to Germany and places, France, Belgium. And even when I was out playing, there was still no let-up. I'm sure everyone thought I was a bit weird. And maybe I am, or was. But all the way through, even in the 90s, was in America playing for the bikers, Daytona and places, you know. It was still there. Mm. And the strange thing is that when I was going into a solo, and anyone listening to this who's into music might understand, someone said to me once, you like go into a trance. And I did. I used to go and world of my own, but I always knew when to come back in, when to stop. And a couple of people in these bands moaned about it. They said, you just sort of go off on your own. Thing is, David, was that all part of what I'm doing now?
Yeah, well, you're being taken over. Yeah, it could well have been.
Exactly. And because 1976, my dad passed away. It was on my birthday, March 12th. He passed away, and a year later I was at Daytona. We had a 2-week gig for this thing for the bikers. And on the anniversary, I don't get legless, but I did this night. And we ended up in a reggae club on the beach.
That's a bit different, isn't it?
Yeah. And, you know, always got me Stratocaster. Always carried the old Fender around, and the sax player had his sax. We're all ready to have a play. Well, I was out of it, and they got us up at about 2 a.m. I'm in a reggae club having a blues band from England. It was quite something. But point is, again, I don't know how I got through it, but my fingers were working, even if my head weren't. So was that part of this lead up to the mediumship? Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, only you would know that. I mean, I'll tell you what, back then, there was a lot of playing around with drugs and things. Did you ever play around? I'm not trying to drop you into anything, but did you ever try anything like LSD? And I just wonder, I'm going down the route of, did it actually enhance any of your experiences? That's where I was sort of leading to.
No, never touched drugs.
No, I never did either. But it just sort of crossed my mind as you were talking about it. I know there was a lot of drugs around in those days. Well, there still are. But
no, I saw a couple of my friends pass away through drugs, and I saw, and I'd never touched them. It was just, you know, for a bit of puff once or twice, but I didn't. That was it. Very rare. I didn't really drink. You know, half a pint lasts me all night. And,
I'm like that, yeah.
But this particular night, I don't know, just went for it. But no, I did read somewhere, I think that if you just look at Arthur Conan Doyle, Sherlock Holmes, you know, Sherlock was a bit psychic, a bit mediumistic, wasn't he? And he often went to the opium dens.
That's right.
So,
yeah.
So,
and of course, Arthur Conan Doyle was actually into a lot of this as well, like mediumship and the occult, everything.
He was, and there used to be a church in Ipswich. It was the oldest church, I think, in Ipswich or Suffolk. The Cedars, it was called. Anyway, the committee, for whatever purposes, sold it. And there were flats above what they used to have, the church part of it. And an old lady said that years and years ago, she'd been there forever, but Arthur Conan Doyle used to come there sometimes on a Sunday. They used to have garden parties. They might have 1,000 spiritualists attend. This is what she told us. And Arthur Conan Doyle was one of these people. So yeah, he was well into it.
Oh.
Fascinating.
Yeah, it is fascinating when you find out what some of these people were up to, I must say. When you do a lot of, you're still doing, you've not been able to do too much, I know, this year because of all the lockdowns and God knows what else. But you've been doing a lot of spirit communication groups where like, what do you call them, like spiritist churches. Do you find, do the same sort of people go every time? Is it the same sort of group? Or is it usually a different, like turn up, the audiences call them?
Yeah, well, I don't do the churches now. Me and them, we don't.
No, sorry, I meant it's halls and things you often do, isn't it?
Yeah, no, sometimes, yeah, I've got my regulars, I suppose. Got a few fans, and but you could, I mean, some place you might get 200 people, and you don't know. Obviously, I don't know who they are, which is probably best. It's nice to have your followers,
yeah,
but it's also nice for the proof to have people you've never seen before.
Yeah, of course. And I think the one I come to with you, I think it was a little hall at the back of a pub, wasn't it?
Yeah, I've never been there before.
Yeah.
I've never been there. Didn't have a clue. But it's, if you keep working, trouble with people that do the churches all the time, you're going around the same place, and I don't care who you are, you do remember people, because I'm sure a little bit stick in your mind,
right,
and I'm sure there's going to be someone listening to this and go, I don't agree with him. Fair enough. But it don't take much working out. If you've done this for year in, year out, you do remember. And so it's good to work with people that you've never seen before.
Yeah.
And that's where the proof is, yeah.
Yeah.
But it depends, David, at the moment there's not much going on. I do my Sunday night live thing from the seance cabinet.
Yeah, okay, I'll talk to you about that. Now, describe what is actually your seance cabinet.
Well, I'm looking at it now. It was a double wardrobe, canvas wardrobe, but I had a mishap with it. I took it out one night to show people, demonstrate what we did, and kind of fell apart. So I've now made it a single canvas wardrobe, and sounds mad, really. And it's all black. It's all black, and I'll sit in that. But I've had some results in it, and in my living room, and believe me, a year ago I would never have done this. So I don't know, something going on, and it doesn't worry me now. But no, it's there, and I'll just leave it there, and I'll sit in it, and I do this thing. I don't know if you remember, years ago there used to be a program called Tales of Mystery and Imagination.
Yeah, I remember that.
I think they're Edgar Allan Poe stories, with that Scottish actor who was in Dad's Army.
Oh, he used to introduce it, didn't he? Yeah, I know what I mean. John,
whatever his name is.
Yeah, I know the black him. John Barry. John Barry. Oh no. No. Anyway, yeah, I know what you mean. Anyway.
To Google that.
the miserable Scottish chap in Dad's Army. Yeah.
That's him, and he had this fantastic way of storytelling.
Yeah, he did.
Anyway, a month or so ago, I was sitting here and I thought, do you know what? I know. Let's have tales from the seance cabinet. And that's what we do on a Sunday night. I'm sure people get fed up with me whittering and twittering. I don't do messages. I'm not doing messages. Other people they do that. It's just a chat.
No, just trying to get the idea. What's the idea of the cabinet? Does it?
Well, it's used in physical mediumship, and so I talk a lot about the old mediums, what I call proper mediums, and they used to sit in the cabinet, and I have to say it's a feels very peaceful in there. And what they used to do was put the medium in there, tie them to the chair, and get voices coming out of the air and all that. But I'm getting actually really cold sitting here talking about it. I'm sure there's something.
Oh, see. So what it is, it's so nothing. You can't sort of have somebody doing something behind that's helping you out, or there's no strings that can be pulled and stuff like that. Is that where you're coming from?
Well, people think there's strings to be pulled. So, I've got a little group now, and we're doing things in the light. So, I wouldn't cheat anyway. I don't see the point. I know I've been criticised for it, but I don't go out making money out of this. I make me expenses.
No, I know you don't.
And, you know, I do this because I'm passionate about it. I mean, I've had it all my life, at least however old I am now, 23. And,
come on.
Yeah, 25. And, I just feel that if I can prove that we do carry on, which is what you're meant to do, then do it. So the cabinet, and it kind of looks the part as well. I mean, I've sat in seances. It's just, I don't know. Yeah, I suppose a bit of theatre as well. I have to say that a few years ago they talk about ectoplasm. People say that's fake as well, and it's cotton wool or something in people's mouths. It's absolute nonsense. And I was at this week. It was a week of psychic, physical mediumship, and I was asked if I would walk towards the cabinet, and the trumpet, the seance trumpet, that's what they used to use in my grandmother's day for the spirits to speak through. And I was asked. I say
it often. That's where the frauds would come in, wouldn't it? Because there'd be somebody holding over the back or something, blowing a trumpet. I know that happened quite a lot, didn't it?
The sound trumpet is like a megaphone, so the voices would come through the trumpet, so as people could hear. But it's all different now. But I was asked to go out and pick this trumpet. It was in mid-air, and I pulled it, and all of a sudden, I got burnt. There's pictures again on the internet of I was in pain for 12 hours and my skin had come off around my waist, and I've been reading up on it, and apparently even if you're a sitter, because we obviously give off what we give off, and there must have been some kind of clash between the medium and my energy, I don't know, but I got burnt. And the reason they have the cabinet as well is safety of the medium. Because if the ectoplasm comes out, Helen Duncan was a prime example of a Scottish medium, where the police broke into one of her seances, grabbed her and the ectoplasm went back into her body, burnt all her insides, and she died within 5 days.
Wow.
So but that's another subject, you know, we could go on about that all night. And but I've got a great fascination for these what I call pioneers of mediumship. They really put their lives and their careers on the line. So
what you're saying is ectoplasm is actually a true substance that does appear
in the solar plexus, I believe. Somebody listening to this will know more than me. So the ectoplasm comes from any orifice, and that then the spirit person forms in the ectoplasm. You look at the old pictures, you'll see it. You'll see it. Luckily nowadays, like myself, I see them without any ectoplasm. So I'm quite lucky. I feel quite lucky.
Yeah, it makes me wonder actually. You know that we were talking about shapes in Rendlesham. We see like misty shapes. I mean, it makes you wonder if that's something to do with it.
Well, the shadow people, you've probably seen them. They always seem to be black, and you see them darting between the trees, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, I've never seen anything with my own eyes apart from a couple of orbs I've seen in the daylight, in the light. I'm not at all psychic or a medium at all. But no, I've only seen pictures, photos that have been taken, and you do see strange shapes, obviously, like the photos you've got. But
well, the day we went there, back in May, I think it was,
yeah,
and we was in the daylight, and I've got 2 photographs of, I don't come around like tubes. One's white and one's blue, and I don't know what that was. It weren't a camera. The little girl that shows herself to me, when we talk about ectoplasm energy, above her head in these photographs, there's like a mass of energy. People see it and they say, look at that. And it's as though there's this energy above her head. And I've seen that little girl in other parts of the forest, by the way. It's not just one particular place. And the name I got for her was Christabel Blakeney. So if any of your listeners know of a Christabel Blakeney from way, way back, or a family in that area, it'd be interesting to know.
Have you not tried to research it at all?
I have, but I did find a Blakeney family, but it doesn't quite tie in with her. So, so getting back to all this ectoplasm and energy, and let's say people would probably say it's fake anyway.
Well, I'm pretty sure that some of those old photos were faked. But like I was saying, I've had kind of an interest in some of those old pictures, and I always wondered myself about this ectoplasm. And what you say, I mean, if you believe it's true, then I believe you, Alex. I mean, that's if you've seen it.
I've seen it.
Yeah.
Felt. When I think Robin Foy started the Skull Project, which is in Norfolk, they instead of using ectoplasm, they tried to do it with energy based, and they had some success with that as well. And that's kind of what I get. I suppose it's an energy.
Yeah.
The energy that I see, it's very hard to explain. Probably people who know more than I do could explain it, but I only know what I see and what I feel. And I know that day when I got burnt by this, I couldn't see it, but whatever it was took all my skin off.
Yeah.
That was not very nice. So if you imagine that going back inside your body, oh God.
Yeah. Well, I mean, something caused the skin to come off, and obviously there was no flames about, so...
No, there was nothing.
Yeah.
No, nothing. No, it was I think it was the last day I was there. And it was that last day where a medium, Terry Tusker, his name, got me out to do table tipping. Never seen it before. And the table had me running around the room. And that is where I got the idea for the table tipping as well.
Yeah, I've experienced that. It's a strange... You think that someone's tipping it, but I've experienced it, and you know it isn't, you know. Once you've done it... once you've got someone... once you've been and done it with a group that you trust... I mean, everyone was taking their hands off the table one at a time to sort of prove it wasn't them tipping it. And when I took my hands off, I actually was going under the table. I think I told you this when you came round here. And you could actually feel like a springiness under the table. I was pushing down on it, and it felt like there was a force pushing it upwards. You know.
That's what I get. It's like a force in my arms. It's like it's a strange feeling.
Yeah.
I'm glad you did it, because I know you know. Well,
obviously, I'd like anyone that before you do it, you're suspicious. You think, that can't be right. Someone's tipping it. You know, it's just. But when you've actually done it a couple of times, and I've done it probably about 3 or 4 times now, and it's an experience. You know, I don't know if it achieves much really, because you sort of ask questions of the spirit, like yeses and nos and things, but. I think that kind of the only thing that comes out of that is the fact that something is moving that table and you don't know what it is.
Exactly.
You know.
Exactly. I suppose people use it a bit like a Ouija.
Yeah.
Yes and no and but it's just proof also that there's something outside making that table lift. So. I don't do it all the time. Some people like it. They think it's great fun, and why not do it? You know.
I'm talking about the Ouija board. Then, I mean, what's your opinion of a Ouija?
I don't know. I don't use them. I've got one actually. I bought one a long time ago, but I don't use it. I suppose because it's drummed into you when you're a kid. Or when we were kids, you shouldn't be doing that sort of stuff, you know. You can bring in all these different entities. Maybe you can, maybe you can't.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. I just do what I do without too many. Some people call it party tricks, don't they? But if I was that worried, I mean, I wouldn't be doing what I do. I've got to be honest.
Sure,
And I certainly wouldn't be doing the cabinet or this sort of letting them take me into this trance state, which is also another peculiar thing for me, because I can't just nod off. People try and tell you can learn it. You can't. But it's taken me a long time to get the confidence to let them take me deep down.
Yeah, I can imagine that.
You know. But so the Ouija, no, I don't use it.
I know there's differing opinions about it, isn't there? I mean, some people will say it's just like a tool, and you can, as long as you use it properly and open it and close it properly and safely, then it's not a problem. I know when I had a friend here who's a medium. Well, he's a sensitive, let's call it. And we were going to say that we were going to get the Ouija board out, and he didn't want to get it out. He didn't want to do it because he was afraid that he was going to bring something into the house. So we kind of thought, oh, okay, then perhaps not then.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you what, about have you experienced any poltergeist activity, Alex?
Well, I think I did when I was a kid. That's what I think all this was, poltergeist activity. But then, looking at me now, all these years on, was it them saying, you know, you can talk to us? You know, I don't know. It was such a different era in the 50s and 60s, wasn't it? I mean, I used to live opposite a woman. I used to say she was a medium, she was a peculiar, but mind you, everything was peculiar in those days, wasn't it? And
especially if you're a kid as well.
Yeah. So I often wonder whether that was poltergeist or was that them saying to me, or trying to get my attention, and saying, look, we can communicate. But it just frightened me so much. But a lot of people say poltergeist is when kids get to puberty, whatever changes in their brain and hormones, I suppose, and that brings on a lot of what they call poltergeist activity. But I wouldn't like to say, really. No,
I mean, I can remember where I grew up in London. I remember a story that was going around that somebody had died in one of the houses down the road, and apparently a load of pennies all come down the stairs.
Oh.
And nobody knew where they came from. So well, whether that was just a story that was going around or not, but somebody witnessed it. Loads and loads of pennies all come flying down the stairs.
Well, I've got this thing. I spoke to her a few times as the girl that was involved with the Enfield poltergeist. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Morris Barbanel, I think it was, sort of took control of that. And what they did, they found that there was a guy, the guy who died was actually in the armchair telling everyone to F off. They found his son and took him back to the house, and what was going on, he said that would be my dad. I think his name was Bill. And he just hadn't passed, he hadn't gone. And I suppose if you pass away, and let's be fair, I don't know what happens. Do we go somewhere or do we stay? I don't really know. But supposing you'll stay in your home, and you've gone, and you don't know you've gone, and then people come in, and to you, that's burglars, isn't it? What are you doing in my place? You're at my house. And I'm wondering if that's what maybe the poltergeist thing is.
Yeah, you must go through that stage if you're going to pass on somewhere else, and there's obviously a place where you're an earthbound spirit, shall we say. Yeah, like in between worlds, yeah. Exactly.
I mean, I don't know, maybe we go somewhere, maybe we lurk around here for a while. I did have a place, I had a place, bungalow, and I think it was my first Friday night there. And I looked round and there was a guy sitting on the arm of my settee. And I asked these neighbours, and they said, well, the bloke, he came home drunk, fell over, hit his head, got inside the front door and died. But he was on his own. He weren't with anyone. He was a bit of a loner. And I think he maybe come in to say, hello, mate. Never saw him again.
That's weird, isn't it?
It was a strange one. So I don't know. I don't know about poltergeist. Whether it's because you're generating this energy, which you could be, couldn't you? You could be generating energy from your brain.
I mean, I was hoping you were going to tell me that we all go off to somewhere lovely and...
We probably do, but I don't know.
This is what I appreciate about you, Alex. You're not giving us any BS. You're saying you don't really know, but of course you know, which is the way it should be, isn't it? You're not giving us a picture of we'll go off into a lovely lovely world and everything's all perfect and everything. Although we probably do, as I've heard before, but you're not giving us that story. You're just saying you don't know.
I saw a thing on Facebook, and a few months ago, and it said somebody written this. When we die, we apparently see a white light, and off we go. This person said, maybe that white light is you coming back out again of the lady's parts.
Yeah.
What? I don't want to do that. I don't want to go and come straight out again. But no, I think we go somewhere and.
Well, I think I told you when Jill told you, didn't she? When Jill's actually, well, it's my wife. For anyone listening, I've told this story a couple of times before. But Jill actually died before I knew her. She actually died a couple of times on the way to the hospital because she's got bad asthma, and they actually brought her back in the ambulance. And the ambulance drivers even visited her while she was in hospital the next day. So then they told her that she'd died, and they brought her back. But she said there was a white light that she went to. And she was given the choice to come back whether to come back or not. She said, I don't think she actually saw anybody, but she knows that she was given this, and she felt this incredible love. That's what she's described it to me as.
Well, I've heard that. Yeah, I mean, as I say, I feel we've been to and fro quite a few times. Reincarnated and gone back again. I know when my mum was ill, I was probably 12 then, I remember her telling my dad that she saw people she knew looking through the window. And then, obviously, I understand that now. They're obviously ready to take her, weren't they?
Yeah, that's what it seems like. You do hear those stories quite a lot, don't you? That someone's...
And her sister was... got ill, and she, again, when you're a kid, you're not supposed to be hearing these things. And she said she was in a lift, and as the lift doors opened, she was told, no, we're not ready for you yet. And she came back. So, yeah, fascinating, isn't it? But if we all, a medium said to me once, if we all knew what it was like on the other side, we'd all be chopping ourselves to get over.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I
don't know.
And also, if you were given the choice to come here or stay there, I think a lot of us would just stay there.
I would.
Yeah, we know what a crazy planet this is turned into. But I'll tell you something else that interests me about you. Do transfiguration mediumship as well, don't you, Alex?
Well, I don't do it. They do it, David.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. I see.
No, I don't mean that in a funny. People say, "Oh, I'm doing this," and I'm doing, I don't know. I just
as I say, they use you as a tool.
It happens sitting here sometimes. I've got photographs of me sitting indoors, and there's somebody else there.
Yeah.
No, I'm not trying. No, I weren't trying to be.
No, I know you weren't. I know.
No, a lot of these people in this, they make this like a big drama.
Yeah.
I have to do this and
that's what I'm saying. So you can't actually decide. I'm going to do some transfiguration mediumship. It just kind of happens, does it?
It just happens, and I sit in that cabinet, and people. I've got a friend of mine, Sharon Day. She was a medium, and when I do my house from a cabinet on a Sunday night, she and other people take, I think they're called screenshots, aren't they? They take screenshots, and they've got me changing, my face changing as I'm in that cabinet. And I'm just talking like I'm talking to you, because I can't see anybody. I'm just talking to my phone. And there's people in the cabinet with me. There's misty things, there's alien type things, and don't know why I do it, David. I must be mad. I'm sitting there looking at it now. I mean, you know, God, got to be something wrong with me. But if you look at my old photographs, and you know, we'll maybe put some on your site. There was one, as I said, my first ever day of mediumship on the platform with Catherine. My face, everything had changed. It's like there's about 3 people with me, and I didn't know what was happening then. I weren't really into it. I've just studied it quite a lot over the last 10 years, 11 years. And this is what, you know, with me, mediumship is not about messages, it's about learning. And learning about what happens. But yeah, I believe we know we've got guides, we have people that do take us over, but I can't make it happen.
No. I mean, I did say that because I don't know, I'm not sure if I mentioned it to you, but the end of last year we had a friend here, his name's Frank, and he came here, and he is the Transfiguration medium, and he actually said, I'll give you a demonstration if you like, and I thought nothing was going to happen, you know, and he was sitting on our sofa. There was 3 of us sitting there watching, and he was sitting there for probably a good 10-15 minutes, just sitting there in a lot of trance state. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, his face started changing. His nose was changing. His ears were changing. The shape of his head was, you know, his face was. And we were all looking at each other. Thought, I can't believe what's happening here. You know, he was sitting in like semi-darkness, but we were all seeing the same changes come over him. You know, it seemed like there was about two or three different. I'll call them spirit beings, if you like, coming over and sort of coming through onto his face. It was absolutely, you know, like if you get a photo and you lay like a negative over the top of the face. It was like that. I mean, you know what I mean. It's difficult to explain it, and if you've never seen it, and someone told you that, you'd probably say, "Oh no, that's a lot of rubbish." But I've seen it, and I didn't think it was going to happen, but we saw it, and it happened, and it blew me away actually.
I mean, I've been doing like a demonstration from the platform, rostrum, whatever you want to call it, and I haven't seen it for a long time, but I have seen the person I'm working with, not the spirit person, the person sitting in the audience. I've actually watched them change. I've actually seen them change. That was quite eerie.
So that was that without their knowledge? They didn't even know what was happening.
They didn't know. They didn't know. And the other strange things have happened to me. I'm not going to mention places. I don't want to publicise places because I don't know. I don't see why I should give them any publicity, really. I've had a lot of, in case anyone doesn't know, the spiritualist movement is not love and light.
No, not all the time, it isn't. There's a lot of backbiting, I know.
That's some real crap. And,
it's a bit like UFO community. That's a lot of backbiting and things. I don't know why. I think it's... Yeah. Do
you know, I've sat with all sorts of people, you know, with rock stars and all sorts. I've never come across anything like this lot. And so I'm not going to.
But we're all right though. We don't backbite, do we? It's all the other. No. It's all the others.
I think what it is with the spiritualists, because I don't conform. I've never conformed to anything, and because again, without sounding sort of arrogant or big-headed, you go up levels, and I've gone up this level, and people, it's because I don't do it their way, but they're still on the same level as they've been on for 20 years, so I've had a few problems. But talking about transfiguration, I was in one church a couple of years ago, and we're talking about poltergeists and activity from the brain, and Uri Geller, for example, bending the spoons and all that. I was in a church one evening, and I was going to go to this woman, and she was looking sort of disinterested. When all of a sudden, she said, "Look what you've done," and her mobile phone exploded in her pocket. And I thought, I didn't do it. The same place 2 years ago, we heard, like, buzz, 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 buzz. And I said, who's got their phone on? Nobody. And the noise was going from one place to there, to the back, over there. Now, that is some kind of, I think, kinetic energy. I don't know if you'd see that. You know, a bit like, I think, Uri Geller, it's like kinetic energy. And so in the mediumship, and I say transfiguration, and this is just my way of thinking, I'm probably totally wrong, but I do think it's some kind of, it's kinetic energy involved. And I'm wondering if it's the same with like the poltergeists, whether it's this brain activity. It's so much involved.
Yeah, that's a theory worth looking at, of course.
And it's the same with the what they call the aliens. I mean, they probably work with us through mind telepathy, don't they?
I'm pretty sure they do. Yeah.
There is another strange thing. I mean, as we're going back to paranormal, I mean, I have to say my first experience with the alien people was in 1976 in Clapham Woods in West Sussex. 4 years before Rendlesham, there was a big thing where animals and cattle were going missing and dogs, and I went there first, and that was a rather strange experience. And this is going to sound really mad, because I know we're going off on all sorts of things, but you said we would, didn't you?
I did say that, yeah. We usually do on this show.
I was staying at someone's house, and I woke up middle of the night, early morning, and I looked round, and it was dark, and there was a woman dressed in like a Chinese, with a greeny, goldy, you know them Chinese jackets, those oriental jackets.
Like silky jackets, like with you.
You won't believe there's someone breathing on my neck. And I woke up, and there's this woman, and she was doing something to my back or my side, and I remember her pushing me down, and I went back into the land of Nod, but I woke up and I was shaking. Whatever she was doing, I don't know. Whether that was to do with the spirits, UFOs, I don't really know. And I often wonder, I think, well, did this all start at Clapham Woods? I hadn't been to Rendlesham. Yeah, there's all this sort of stuff going on, and you say with the kinetic energy, and I don't know whether it's to do with them or the spirit world, or just me or you, whoever, you know, that these strange things happen to. It's quite fascinating. I was going through the supermarkets a couple of years ago, and I just went through this phase where things would fly off the shelf. I mean, I was attacked by a cabbage, and it was thrown at me, and I think, what? I've had witnesses to this. And I remember a little kid, there was these little sweets flying around, and he said, oh, look, his mum said it's fairies. I thought, it's not, it's Alex. And your listeners, I think, I really am barking, but I believe it is some kind of energy. But it hasn't happened for a while. I wouldn't mind a few, like, £20 notes through out of a bank machine.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
It doesn't happen. Those sort of things don't ever happen. But
and it's also, you're not psychic enough to pick out the lottery numbers.
I never. I wasn't meant to have money.
No.
I wasn't destined to have money. Whenever I've had something, something's happened and it's gone. I wasn't destined for money. But I'm not worried. I mean, the way it is, isn't it? I'm happy with what I'm doing, and I'm happy that I can go and do this work and just sort of maybe pick up 15 quid for expenses.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, that's all you expect, isn't it, really? You just don't expect to do it at your own cost.
Well, I've been criticised for doing what I do. I've been called a hobbyist, and I've been called this. Do you know what? I believe it's about getting more knowledge.
Yeah.
Well,
then you can call it a hobby if you like, can't you? I mean, what's wrong with that? I might as well call this a hobby, this show we're doing.
Exactly.
You know, I don't get paid for it, and it's kind of a hobby if people would have called it that.
That's because I don't go out charging loads of money. Because I don't want to. I'm happy, like, talking to you about what could this be?
Yeah.
What could that be?
Well, it's like I always say, we all like to learn a little bit from it. We're all learning. We're all trying to catch little bits off of each other. And, you know, I think each show I do, I learn a little bit more. I learned a little bit more about you tonight. And, you know, and that's the way it should be.
Well, I won't be talking a load of rubbish.
No, of course not. But I'll tell you what, before we do wind up, you've got a book out, haven't you? It's called A Lifetime of Spiritual Communication.
Spirit communication, yeah. It's not very big, but it's enough to get an idea of what I do.
It's got a few pictures from Rendlesham in it, isn't it? It's
yeah. And I've also got an e-book, Spirits of Rendlesham Forest. That's an e-book. That's in colour. This one's black and white, obviously. Now that's on Kindle.
Oh.
And it's got lots of stuff in it from Rendlesham. It's got that strange picture of my daughter standing by the tree opposite the farm in Rendlesham, near the healing tree, is it, or something?
Yeah.
And my daughter behind her is a very strange figure in some, I don't know whether it's to do with the people, what was it, Boadicea, wasn't it? Her tribe used to hang out there, I think. But there's this strange...
It's a very ancient settlement around that area. Yeah, they were the ancient Saxons.
That's what I said when it's leave the ancients and aliens alone.
Yeah.
But there was this ancient person standing behind my daughter by that tree.
Yeah, I've seen that photo. It's pretty weird.
That's quite weird. But and the other thing, of course, I've seen two UFOs there. One was a Sunday afternoon, and the next one was Midsummer's Evening, 2017. I was at Bentwaters, a couple of the guys there, and why is it you can never? Can't seem to pick the camera up, can you, when these things happen? And above us appeared this massive white light. And what came into my head was what you talk about and what you think is correct. And with that, this object broke into segments, 3 or 4 segments, and you could see the blackness of the sky. And it just went woof and was gone. And I'm so annoyed because I had my camera.
Yeah, but even then, if you'd have got it makes you wonder if you'd have got anything anyway, because people do take pictures, and they don't come out anyway, do they?
And that was 3 years ago. And I was saying, there was witnesses to the other UFO, which was in the daylight. And there's also, Chris Nash. What a lovely bloke he was.
Yeah, we lost Chris.
Now that is a man I had to admire. There's no way I'd sit there on my own at night.
Yeah.
At least, would you?
Yeah, unfortunately, we lost Chris. Was it? That must have been about 3 years ago now, wasn't it? He used to go. He used to go to. No, actually, it might have been longer than that. It might have been about 4 years ago now. It's got to be.
It's been 4 years now.
Because I went to his funeral. He used to go and sit in the woods, and he was almost every night, didn't he? He'd spend almost every night there, and he used to go home about 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, and he was always being told, drive carefully and everything. Anyway, one night on the way home, he drove into a tree on the way home. He used to live in Norfolk, and unfortunately he killed himself. And unfortunately, that particular night, he'd actually messaged me on my phone that night, and he used to say to me, "Oh, Mr. Young," and all that, and I'd get a little message from him saying, "Oh, I'm up in the woods. You're coming up the woods." And the next day, I woke up to have a message that Chris had died on the way home to. I thought, "Oh my God," it's. Anyway, that's that little story. Chris Nash is a very nice chap, a very nice guy.
I have to tell you, I've seen him twice.
Have you?
Yeah. Yeah. And about 6 months after he passed, I put something on Facebook, and I got a like from him.
Yeah, I remember you saying. That's right.
Got a like, yeah. And
yeah, I mean, his Facebook is sort of... Well, nobody's using it, are they? That was strange.
No one would believe me. He was on his own, wasn't he?
Yeah,
and
that's right.
It come up like, and I thought, well... And my granddaughter, she come up there with me one evening, with some other guys from Ipswich, and I'd never told her about Chris. And she kind of went into this kind of a trance. She's 25 now. And she said, I've got your friend here, and he's not going to tell you any more, because what happened to him could happen to you. Now, take that however you want. And I've got to tell you, I mean, I was down there one night, two of us, and these two massive white lights appeared. You know when you come across from Eastgate car park into the woods, these two big like searchlights appeared, and there was no one about. And as we turned around and went back to the car, there were like 4 orange balls, like orbs, inside the car in the cabin. Anyway, don't know what that was. And a few weeks later, we went there one afternoon. And I said, I'll tell you what, we'll go down to the Chippy in Melton and come back. Before we got out of Rendlesham, the car was banging underneath. I thought we'd run someone over. All the way up until I said, right, get onto the A12, and it stopped. Nothing wrong with the car. What's that all about? We weren't meant to go back.
Yeah, that's strange, isn't it? I know this.
It is very strange.
Rendlesham Woods is actually, or Rendlesham Forest, whatever we will call it, is actually very, very strange. And it's got a very long history of witchcraft and all sorts of things, isn't it? Satanism. Long before the UFO incident.
Alistair Crowley used to practice.
Yeah, Alistair Crowley's another one. Yeah.
And that's got me into trouble as well, by the way, with somebody's spirits, because I've seen him as well. Mr. Crowley, and apparently he did perform some of his rituals in Rendlesham Forest. Yeah. Along with lots of other people, David. It's not just him. It was, it's been going on for years. Yeah. And I think it still is.
He did get about quite a bit, didn't he, Mr. Crowley?
He did. He was a fascinating character.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, I must say.
He was a fascinating character. But there's so much. I don't know if I don't know what we've done tonight. I just feel like I've been whittering.
No. You're all right. But anyway, let's give your book another mention. It's A Lifetime in Spirit Communication. So you can get it on Amazon. Yeah. Amazon,
and you can get it as an e-book as well.
You can get it as an e-book. So, and it's like you say, it's not a gigantic book, but it's a little interesting story that covers really you, doesn't it? It tells all about you, your experiences.
I just did it for I just did it. I thought there's a few of the important things.
Yeah.
Well, I feel, but there's so much more that's happened, and
do you intend to write another one?
Do you know, I've been doing a YouTube channel. Subscribe, that's what they'll say. Don't forget. Right. I've had in the last couple of weeks probably about 3,000 or 4,000 hits.
Yeah, that's good, isn't it? Yeah.
And the interesting thing is, once this lockdown COVID thing, if it finishes, the spiritualist churches and centres were not doing very well. And what I noticed was, I don't know if you've got your YouTube channel, have you?
Yeah, I've got one. Well,
you go
because this show will end up on there as well.
Oh, right. Well, if you go into the analytics, it tells you the age group. And the most popular age group, looking at my stuff, is between 25 and 34.
Right.
The next group is 18 to 24. And they're the ones that are interested in what I'm doing. So you've got to try and get those people into the centres.
Yeah.
They're obviously interested in whatever, supernatural.
Well, the paranormal in general, I think, yeah.
I think so, and the older people, and it's also one or two of my videos have been translated. They've gone to 6 different countries.
Wow.
I'm really over the moon.
That's good. I'll tell you what, I'll get the link for that, and I'll put it on the Paranormal Dimensions page, so anyone listening to the show will be able to track you down and have a look.
Yeah, go. Yeah, track me down. Don't forget, subscribe. They don't. But I don't.
Oh, excuse me.
It's just fun.
Yeah.
So no, I haven't done any writing, David. I've just been. If you was about 15, you'd knock these things out in about 5 minutes, but it's taken me like all day.
Yeah.
On these laptop and trying to suss things out.
Yeah.
But
what with all the other things you've got to do as well in life?
Well, I don't do a great deal. I get up in the morning, I pick up the acoustic guitar or the resonator. I bought myself a new resonator guitar for sliding, and I'll play around with that for a little while.
That's what I mean. That's an important thing in your life, isn't it? I mean, that's the thing that gives you pleasure. And that's what I'm saying. That's what takes up your life, and it's the important thing. So, what's wrong with that?
No, I go around having a chat with like-minded people. I obviously won't be able to chat with you for much longer, face to face, because you're away, aren't you?
Well, I'm not going that far away, and I will be coming back to this area. And you'll always be welcome to come visit. If you want to.
Oh, cheers.
Because it's not that far away, just down to Essex, is it? It's hour and 3/4 away, hour and a half, whatever. Depends how fast you drive. But
yeah.
But it's not that far.
Yeah,
but I will be coming back up here occasionally, anyway. Especially if there's some sort of a thing going on. I don't know if you know, but Spirus Malaris and we've got an alien autopsy thing planned for Woodbridge. It's in May, I believe. Yeah, May Day bank holiday. If if we're all sort of allowed to do this sort of thing by then.
Okay.
So maybe I'll see you around for that. If it's going to happen. It was supposed to have happened this year, but we had to cancel it. It was going to be the end of August, but of course it was right in the middle of all this, what was going on. I don't like to say the word.
No, I don't, but I think we're in it for the long haul somehow.
Anyway, I guess we'll leave it there then, Alex. It's been great talking to you.
I haven't been talking gibberish.
No, it's been very interesting. I'm sure people out there will have been listening and probably gasping at some of it, because some of it is actually very interesting. Well, don't say some of it, all of it's very interesting. Do you allow people to get in touch with you, like an email address or?
Yeah, of course they can.
Yeah. Do you want to chuck it out?
Yeah. It's my email address is spiritworker.co.uk. On my Facebook page. What else?
Yeah, you can look at Alex Lovelock on Facebook. You can find.
Facebook. There's a lot of photographs on there, actually. I think there's quite a few on there.
Yeah.
And Instagram as well. Yeah.
Right. Anyway, I'll put as many links as I can, whatever bits and pieces I can find.
But no, it's been nice talking to you, David.
Yeah, and you, Alex, and hopefully I will get to see you. I mean, I'm pretty sure I won't see you before we move, but I will be backwards and forwards. And as I say, you're always welcome to come visiting. You've got my phone number and everything, so I'm sure we'll get together. I'm sure I'll see you again. I might even take a ride up and come to the woods with you. Okay then, Alex, right, thank you very much, and I'll let you get on with your evening, go and have a beer or something.
I'm not going to be doing much now, I don't think.
Well, go to bed then, and
I won't be doing that. I don't know.
Okay, well, go on your guitar then.
I might annoy the neighbours. Play some blues.
Anyway, cheers, Alex, thanks very much, and good night, sir. Cheers, mate.
Soon. Bye.
Cheers, mate. Bye-bye. Anyway, I hope you all enjoyed that. I'd like to take this opportunity to wish everyone listening out there a safe and happy Christmas, and hope things get better for next year, and we can only hope. I've got a special Rendlesham Forest UFO incident show next week, which I hope you'll tune in for, and it will be Jim Penniston and Colonel Charles Holt. Anyway, again, happy Christmas, and have a good one. You've been listening to Paranormal Dimensions on the Paranormal UK Radio Network. I'm David Young, and thank you for listening. Hope you enjoyed that. Good night.
Paranormal Dimensions is as bright and powerful as our celestial star, the sun. And although it's expending thousands of pounds of energy every minute of the day, have no fear. There's plenty left.
Paranormal Dimensions is a regular feature on Mondays on the Paranormal UK radio network.